Hello, welcome to Seawolf's Den. I'm Crafting Ron. Welcome back to my crafting table. DM Scotty has issued a new challenge for June. Peripherally, I have paid attention to those often, and I have participated in one or two, and I didn't know they were still doing them until recently. I have decided to perhaps dive into this one, but it depends on how long this takes me. The challenge is floating terrain, and I kind of want to put my own twist on it, repurpose some toys at the same time, as many may recognize this piece. And I've got an idea. I went into my box of many things. I remembered to have this giant skeleton, and I have an idea. The idea is I'm going to call it the Throne of a Technomancer. This is going to be, I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to probably add some bits to it. And I guess I'm going to glue that back because that's broke. This is something I got off of eBay. As a lot of extra Star Wars toys, pieces. I've got it on top of foam because I'm going to probably put some foam on it. But I'm sure people recognize it. But I'm going to repurpose it for the underside of a Technomancer throne. The Technomancer throne will be floating. He will be dead. I will probably put a jewel in his eyeball or some kind of techno piece. I may not use the whole skeleton because it's a lot. But I'm going to have his throne floating, and it'll be to scale. So he'll be like whatever this is, giant or obscenely huge. I don't know what the scales are, but I'll put it at 28mm scale and just say that he's a giant Technomancer. I'll start by, actually, while I'm staring at it, I'm going to start by fixing this crack because I always got to think of when I make something. It's one of those cases where I don't have a game for it. What do I do with it afterwards? I'm starting to run out of room, and I have thrown away crafts because I just don't have a use. And actually, one of those I did throw away was one of the last participations in this craft off that I had. I'm just going to spread this glue into the crack. Hopefully it'll bring it together. I'm kind of looking at this as the underside. I may put the apple sauce tops under here to show like a Star Wars calls them repulsor lift or anti-grav engines, and just show it's in a constant state. So I imagine this to be either some kind of mixed genre. Numenera, I think, is the game that it's gone far in the future, and it's kind of technology that's almost like magic, and you're not really supposed to know what it does. And that's kind of why I picture this it's now a fantasy world, but there's technology everywhere that somebody a long time ago made. I love those kind of settings too. The potential for technology I'm perfectly fine with. Yeah, I kind of imagine this skeleton I'm going to partially just sit him in the throne, but also have kind of like the throne, have him petrified in the throne. So like I'll probably embed him inside the foam and maybe pour some sand over it so he's just kind of embedded in it. I think I'll take off the legs, or at least kind of maybe show that his legs just fell off over time. I don't know. Or just let him rest at the bottom of the throne. Yeah, because I just want him to, but I'd love to have kind of like that scene in Conan when he went and got his sword, his arms are like that. And that's a good idea too. Like just lay a technological sword across it, which I don't really have, so I'd have to find something that would work. I got some ideas, but this is kind of early stages of this, and I have a lot going on in June, so I'm going to try to get a lot of it done early on, and then hopefully get it submitted on time. But yeah, I had been thinking about this piece that's been sitting in my bin for a while, and I can't really sell it because it's got this crack, and I've already tried to sell Star Wars parts that I have laying around. It's not a real strong market, so I'm going to go with repurposing this because I've always loved the detail, and this will get repainted. I'll take the stickers off, and I don't need a whole lot of bits on this one because it's got its own detail. But I think I will put some applesauce tops on it, and then I don't know, I'll make something of this that looks different. The side of this out of here, I'm hoping when I put it down like this, I'm gonna I'll put some foam rocks hanging out each part, so the technology is kind of embedded in kind of a floating rock. So yeah, it's going to take a lot of foam, but that is the first level of design for this. We'll see where it goes. Alrighty then, lots of foam work off camera because it's just boring to me, and I wasn't really sure how I was going to do it, and I wasn't really sure how many times it was going to go well or go badly. It's been a struggle because I'm not precise. I'm not that kind of guy. And this, of course, this piece is really kind of hard to fit in there, but I finally got it, at least the beginnings of one. This is intended to be the bottom of my floating terrain. I still have not really figured out how to make it float, what I'm going to mount it on. Now, you notice that I've used previously Mod Podged and painted foam. Well, it's from a previous disaster that I have stored away, and I'll cover this up somehow, but that'll be the top, and the throne's going to come off this top. I decided to make, cheap looking stalagmites or stalactites to hang down, just kind of add to the effect. I'll probably add more hot glue to those to give it a little more of a look. I've got a lot more foam to add. This particular area is going to get covered up with some. I'm going to use foam to kind of hold the whole plastic piece in place, like so. And then, but I don't want to do that yet because this has to get cleaned. This has to get stickers taken off and repainted. This I can spray paint. This I can spray paint. So I'm going to spray paint it black and then start detailing it later, maybe gray. Once I do that, these pieces, once it's done, and I know that I'm going to go into hand painting, then I will go ahead and secure it to the foam. Next steps. Okay, so I've done a little bit more work off camera. Started working on the throne idea, and it's becoming more and more obscure in terms of. So here's the platform. Still working on that a little bit, adding some more hot glue, just making it look more natural. I'm hoping that and we're still in that hot mess stage where I'm hoping once I get to the paint, it'll look okay. I made kind of a natural looking throne. This is the way I want to look at it. I want it partially embedded, partially sitting, because his legs are just too long for the whole scene. But I kind of already started working on the idea of it being embedded in stone, but then maybe it looks like a natural throne. I'm filling in the gaps. I don't want it to look like pieces of stone stuck together. So I'm filling in the gaps with hot glue, and with the intent eventually to fill them in with sand to unify the overall piece. And I'm going through a lot of hot glue. Again, it's still the hot mess stage. I'm still not even sure if I'm going to use this throne or maybe do another one, but I'm fairly happy with it. I used some Hot Wire Factory hot wire cutter. I used a hot knife from Hot Wire Factory to get and I'll fill that in with sand. Tempted to just take one arm off, maybe embed it in the stone, but I think that, if you put them on there, then I'm going to start using some of these. I don't know, this is probably too big, but some of these gears to make them look like what I'm going for, and maybe this key is like at the heart of it. Maybe that's what they're after. I don't know. It's a goal or a treasure they're after, but I'm going to use some of these gears to kind of make him. This is a dead necromancer that tempted to be a god or almost became a god, and he was experimenting with too much tech, and the gods punished him, embedded him into the stone, and made it, and in a mocking way, left him in a kind of situation where it looks like he's in a throne, king of nothing, like the yet another Metallica song, King Nothing. And maybe that's his name, King Nothing, the Technomancer. The throne of the Technomancer, King Nothing. I like that idea, so that's where I'm going for. So it's gonna be floating like that with the Star Wars part underneath. Oh, this is my intention. So it's gonna float like that. The throne on it, and a lot more on the bottom. I'm going to put a lot more stone and kind of liven up this edge with more rocks and more rock formations, and just make it a little more like a mountain than just that. And so that's the start of it. Keep on working. Okay, a lot of progress on the project so far. Overly happy with the throne overall. After I've worked on it, I did all that work. I'm going to probably try to redo this. I went to Home Depot, got a threaded dowel, and I've glued it down to a base, which I think will hold everything else. I'm going to have to drill into the toy to have this go through it, and have another screw and washer combination like I do here on the bottom of it. That's how I think it can be done. It's this is glued down with Gorilla Glue. Should be able to hold it. It's fairly light. Now I just started working on some detailing. Got these old steampunk type gears. I'm going to stick them in there, give it a steampunk look. Got some 40K bits that I'm putting together here with some beads. To really kind of disguise it, make it pop, make it different, and I'll glue those in. Then I'm going to spray paint it. Spray paint this particular piece, the toy piece, the repurposed toy. That's going to fit in there. We'll glue more foam down to hold it down, cover up some of the holes. That is my plan so far. This will be the front, so we can see the detail of the toy. I'm going to redo the throne. I've got some more foam over here for another throne. I'm just not happy with the way that looks, but it was worth a try, at least at first. I may still use some of that foam, so that's. So yeah, the biggest thing here is deciding on a base. I'm going to detail this out with some stone, some grass, and maybe find some trees, cheap trees, and kind of make it look forested. Maybe cover this up. I'm going to probably spray paint this black so it doesn't look so obvious. And then And it will sit, it's a foot tall. It'll sit on there like that. And to get a good look at it, that will be my floating terrain. Keep on working. Okay, never really know when I should be filming and when I shouldn't be. I do a lot off camera because I don't know if it's going to be a disaster or not. And also it's not always easy for me to set up a camera every time. Sometimes I'm out in the garage and other times I'm not. So sorry for a lot of choppiness and advancement without you actually seeing it. Still trying to figure this stuff out. And I have now done a few things, redid the throne. I'm reasonably pleased with that. That's going to stay for now. I'm trying to get to a point where this is mounted and I can start working on things. So got things painted. Admittedly, again, I'm not that perfect at this. I painted it too early. I'm going to have to go back over it again, but I wanted to kind of get a good look of what this would look like primed. I just kind of, so I can maybe think of ways I'll paint it when it's actually done, but I should have primed it after I've glued on the little bits that I'm planning on putting on there. So I started that. I'll go back over it with some paint. And then the real messy part will be painting this foam. And I don't know if I'm going to do that on camera because that's going to be outside. Lots of black. I'm going to throw in some Mod Podge if I still have some. I'll double check to make sure I still have some. And then start putting this thing together. I'm still, like I said, just A lot of experimental phases here. So I'm going to try to put some bits on this. Spray paint those bits once they're dry. They're basically, I started with the bits because there's some divots in here for the toy that it belongs to, the Star Wars toy, the Millennium Falcon. There's some places in here that I want to cover up, like little latches that's supposed to hold the piece in to the overall toy. Obviously, I don't have that toy. I bought this off of eBay, and some guy had just junk laying around. He also gave me this, or I may have gotten this from somebody else, but again, it's from the same toy. I'm going to mess with this. I have an idea. This is going to be a part of the throne. Again, like I said, the throne of the necromancer. So there's got to be some techie stuff involved, and I have an idea for that. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to paint that one up again. So when I do the repaint of this, I'm going to paint that as well. And I've already drilled a hole for this. I think it's roughly where I want it. Of course, it's going to go upside down. This is my first real floating, fantasy-themed terrain, so if it seems kind of random, seems kind of chaotic, it's only because I've never done this kind of thing before. It is for a challenge, so I don't expect to win, but I'm going to just do my best to try to make my ideas come to fruition. I just have this thing in my head, and I'm hoping it'll come close to what I'm thinking. It all started with this toy, and the video that I saw DM Scotty. And originally, I was just going to take this piece and make kind of a scatter terrain of sci-fi junk. That was my original idea. But I always felt that this was kind of too big for that and it needs to be something else. And when I saw the floating terrain idea, I thought, maybe I should do something else. So I've got this gluing. This is going to be up here. Can't really see that. Sorry, this is going to be on top. This is going to rest underneath, in between this and the foam piece that it's going to rest in. Once all this glues and it's painted, I'm going to paint it gray after I prime it again. I'm going to paint it gray and then hand paint it when it's in the foam. But I have to hand paint the foam as well. So I've got some work to do. I'm also looking for other ways to dress this up to really kind of distract it from what it really obviously is. I don't mind people actually recognizing it, but I also would like to say, that's a neat way of disguising it. It's just kind of the way I like doing it. It's kind of a way to show your art, is to disguise what it obviously is and make it look interesting. Am I going to paint this guy? I've still got to do work on him. I'm going to put his arm back. I messed with the original throne. I thought I was going to have him kind of embedded in it and pieces of the bone coming out. I'm not going to do that now. So I'm repairing his arm. I'm going to glue his arm back together. And maybe my idea is to somehow have this throne sitting, his body, which I like the way I have it now. I'm sitting there, and this kind of embedded in there, and I'll turn around. May cut these off. And his other arm resting on here like it's either one part armrest, one part scepter or cane or some kind of thing that he walks with. But I'm going to have it semi-embedded in the foam. I may have to build foam around it and then maybe hot glue. But that's kind of my idea, at least. So, I know it looks like a hot mess right now. Nothing hot glue, foam, and paint won't fix at this point. So, moving on. Some people may ask, why do you use so many Star Wars toys? Why do you destroy so many Star Wars toys? And you must hate Star Wars if you're destroying all these Star Wars toys. That's not true. I mean, I was a big fan of Star Wars long time ago, many moons ago, a galaxy far, far away. But that has changed over time. I don't hate it. And of course, it's headed into a new renaissance right now that I'm sure is making fans more and more interested. And so I've had several lots on eBay of these particular things, and they didn't sell. So while eBay may not be the end all be all, it's where I go. And so anything that I don't sell gets reused. And in this case, that's true. I did another craft. I'll throw up a picture of that. In fact, the whole reason I bought this entire lot was for this one piece. And it's a Star Wars toy, but I saw it as something else. And I made it into a MacGuffin for another adventure. Just a big engine looking thing, because I felt like it looked like that. So in that lot was, I believe, this piece and several others. The landing gear for the Millennium Falcon. I bought this. This was not even on the lot that I bought. And he said I threw in something extra. And it was this. And I appreciated it. So I really didn't pay for this. I paid for pieces of an X-Wing, which I later restored. So I have restored Star Wars toys. Done two. I've done a Snow Speeder and an X-Wing, and found that it's expensive. It's not cheap. So I'm not doing that anymore. And I'm repurposing toys. And that's what I want to do. I like the idea of taking toys people have thrown away. And this one was pretty bad off. I mean, it was cracked. I've repaired that. And it smelled like smoke. It's where I want it now. And I obviously added a few things. I am letting these dry. And these will be the engine type things holding it up. I'm going to glue this one down there. And that one there. And that one there. But I'm going to put it in the foam first to make sure all that's going to fit. Tabletop Crafts with a... I drink way too much diet soda, and I have a ton of these tops. So, starting to look like something. And no, I don't hate Star Wars toys. I just, in fact, love them so much that I want to use them in my games as something else. And if people are going to throw those pieces away, I'm going to use them for something, like I said. Okay, I want to take a look more into the skeleton of the Technomancer. Always keeping in mind that this is intended to be 28 millimeters. So this is your character against this guy. So he's huge. So anything he's got that that your adventurers may go after is going to be big. So I couldn't do a sword because it's just too big. You know, I bought these keys at a Halloween store, Craftover. You know, whenever Halloween is over, you go in and get everything half off. So I got a bunch of these keys, and again, I mean, the keys are great, but at 28 millimeters, it's going to take 3 or 4 characters to carry a single key. So I'm not going to do that. I got a lot of little gears, but what I do have is some circular 40K bits that I'm going to create a cyber eye on. I'm going to just, for now, I'm not going to be painting this, although he is dirtied up a little. I might dry brush him with some ivory, throw in some wash to make it stand out a little bit more. But that's going to take, that's going to be later. I'm going to put him in the throne, and I'm going to probably put a lot of glue on him to make him look like he's embedded in the throne. So I could either do something like this. Okay, so got a 40K bit and a gear, and I think I'm just going to place that on his eye to represent kind of cybernetic. Fantasy folks are like, ugh, well, why would you do that? Because I like a little sci-fi with my fantasy, regardless. What was it? I just watched a video. Well, the first D&D setting was Blackmore, and that was done by Dave Arneson. Dave Arneson. I saw him once before he passed away. And his setting had aliens and, you know, had the sci-fi element in it. And I didn't know that until I saw that video, because I never played Blackmore. You know, I've had this piece forever, and I don't know. Oh, I've got 2 of them now. So I guess it came with those. It's kind of a, I could put that down. I'm very tempted to mount that inside his rib cage. Yeah, I could probably pin it. Not entirely sure how. That's the start of our Technomancer. Now, I originally cut the arm and was going to embed it in the foam, and then I got rid of that throne. So I have repaired the arm because I just didn't want to do that. It's got a little crack in it, but that's okay. And the other part of the arm is still over here. Forearm. I can glue that in, but I'm going to save that. I'm going to glue both in once I find a resting place. And that's what this is. It's going to be a resting place for those things. And I think I'm going to throw in some gears. Now that I've dremeled that part down, I'm going to throw in some gears on this thing. And really kind of make this done a lot of work off camera, obviously, since my last work on it, and this is one of those cases where if I keep working on it, it's going to turn into a mess. I'm not entirely happy with the end result, and that's just me being critical of myself. You know, I have this vision of what it looks like, and then I do it, and it comes out a little more or less like I wanted it to. And in this case, it's less. It's definitely not the former. This just didn't come out the way I wanted it to. The scaling is off. I'm still going to submit it, but you know, there's just some aspects of it I'm not happy with. I love the angle that I've got right now on the camera. I just need lighting up beneath it. Like if I took a flashlight like that, I think it would look great that way. Because you look on it straight on, you don't see the detail I did on the toy piece, and you really just don't get the overall. I've changed it. It's no longer the throne of the Technomancer. It's now the tomb of the Technomancer. I did a little work on this piece, which I never really got a name for. I took some 40K bits to make it look scaled. I got these tombstones from yet another Halloween sale, and they're close to scale, the 28 millimeter, so I might hang with that. I also made these that I'm not finished painting with. I wanted to try perhaps add a little bit more story to it, and of course the story won't matter in the overall competition, but that's what I like to do, is add story. These are kind of standing stones, and maybe that's how you teleport up that way. I don't know. I'm gonna probably paint those up. Now the photo shoot for this is going to be, I'm going to fully set it up on a table with a mat and maybe some miniatures, and hopefully lighting enough to get underneath to see the detail of that, and the floating necromancer. I keep saying necromancer. The floating technomancer. I think that looks good, and it teeters because I didn't do the mounting right. It's one of my first, so I don't know. But overall, I'll take some pics and kind of show it to you in detail. But I'm going to finish out this video, and then at the end of it, I'll just throw the final photo shoot pictures together.